Welcome back, True Seeker. July 29th, 2025. The big story today is the most powerful earthquake since the one that caused the Fukushima disaster, March 11th, 2011. I remember that day very well, living out on the West Coast in Seattle. They're telling us to, go out and take potassium iodide. There were fears that there'd be nuclear contamination in the water, hitting us within hours. I didn't buy into all the fear. I wasn't tripping. But yeah, today's earthquake doesn't make sense because they come out and say it's an 8. And keep in mind, all the international agencies have this earthquake rated as a 7.8, but we hear about the USGS. But the USGS started with an 8 magnitude. Here we are 8 days before the bombing of Hiroshima. Remember what Jesse Ventura said about 20 years ago? Sometimes those big quakes in the ocean are what he and his Navy SEAL buddies were doing, planting big bombs down there. So that I'm to show conspiracy theory. But anyway, we started with an 8. Then it jumped up to an 8.7, which was comical for Russia. And you know why if you know Gematria. And then it jumped up to an 8.8. And I'm going to show you why that's also very interesting in light of the forecasts I've been making for bizarre weather stuff through one individual. Of course, he was in a movie about earthquakes. He'd never believe it. It's 88 days after his birthday. But the reason it's suspect that it goes from an 8 all the way up to an 8.8 is, if you know how magnitude works, that's a huge difference. An 8.8 magnitude is over 15 times stronger than an 8. So, I mean, think 15 times. That's a huge difference. It seems like an impossible mistake to make. You're off by 15 times. What kind of instruments are we using here? Now, something else that a lot of people don't know is where seismology comes from. The answer is it comes from the same people who gave you the calendar system, same people who standardized the English alphabet with 26 letters, and those same people are the Jesuits, the military order of the Catholic Church. I keep showing again and again, the readings the USGS puts out are ritual. They're ritual. That's why this doesn't make any sense. Again, you can't go from it's an 8. Oh, wait. No, it's 15 times bigger than that, actually. No, it doesn't make any sense. So we're just going to go through this, and I'm going to show you the types of things I always show you. An 8.7 is where they had it for a good long while before it jumped up to 8.8. Russia in Gematria is 87. Again, this is the system that was set up at the end of the 16th century by the same Jesuits that gave you the field of seismology, that no doubt run the USGS and the supposed numbers that are put out, which often do change ritualistically, as I've been talking about for a long time. You know, a lot of you guys know who Dutch Sins is, the earthquake guru, and I really just see him as a moron. Back in 2017, I put out a prediction about a month before it happened. I said, there's going to be a 5.5 magnitude quake on the 6th of December. And we'll get to why I said 5.5 on that date. It was a date with 55 numerology, and I guess we can just get to it right now. In Gematria, earthquake equals 55 like military. So that day, it happened. There ended up being a 5.5. And by the way, in the Bible, Revelation 6:12, there's an earthquake. Anyway, it did happen, and Dutch Sins decided to do a video that day attacking my prediction and how dumb he thought it was. And anyway, Dutch Sins took down his videos on this today, but he was just dumbfounded at how it could have changed from an 8 to an 8.7, just totally clueless about it. And I assume he must have thought he sounded like a dumbass because he took his videos down. But I'm thinking, what a joke this guy is. He attacked my work for no reason back in 2017. Since then, we've nailed a lot more earthquake predictions, just been right on the money, and I've been predicting them all based off The Rock, Mr. San Andreas actor. Just wait until we get to how this 8.8's 88 days after his birthday. You know, when he turned 52, I said, watch, there's going to be an earthquake 96 days after his birthday and 174. The first was a 5.5 and the second was a 4.4, and those predictions were right on the money. The 174 days after his birthday was the first day of Scorpio, like he's the Scorpion King. And again, Learn gematria, you guys. You'll see through everything. Alphabetic order with numerology, reverse alphabetic order with numerology. When he turned 52 on May 2nd, Earth is 52, I said, oh, they're going to do some earthquake rituals with him this year. And like I said, that day I spit it out. I said circle 96 days after his birthday and 174 days. You got a 5.5, 96 days after, and a 4.4, 174 days after. Look at the gematria of military, 44 and 55, just like earthquake, 44 and 55. And do you see how both those words are also 107? Of course, I wrote about how significant 107 was to the 1989 World Series earthquake, where the last thing shown on TV was Jose Canseco, the guy with the 107 name, and it just happened to be 107 days after his birthday. But as we'll get to, today's 107 days from the leader of the Jesuits' birthday. Yeah, and they call him the Superior General, because the Jesuits are a military order that no doubt run this nation's military, and that's why we got Pete Hegseth nominated by the Jesuit puppet on Arturo Sosa's birthday, the Black Pope, a.k.a. the Superior General. Yeah, Hegseth, the Fox News actor, was picked on November 12th, the Superior General's birthday. But yeah, for the longest time, they had this at an 8.7. It jumped from 8 to 8.7, and then only recently did they climb it up to 8.8. When it hit 8.7, the phrase everywhere was tsunami warning. And just the way that people are inconvenienced. Imagine how many people are on their summer vacation right now, somewhere on the Ring of Fire, trying to enjoy some time off from the slave grind. You know, it's the first time they saved up the money to rent the beach house or go to the nice resort. They're out with their family. And now, instead tonight, it's fear and anxiety, probably up on top of a hill. Again, it'll be a story and something to remember, but this is what people need to wake up to, and this is why that Dutch Since is a total ass. Why would you attack somebody's work when the prediction lands? Just like Jeff C., who's dead. I told everybody the season of Super Bowl 50 in week 3 why the Broncos would beat the Panthers and Von Miller would be the MVP of the Super Bowl, and there'd be a Black Panther tribute at halftime. Quite the prediction. All of those things happen. Jeff C. comes out of nowhere the day after it happens and makes fun of it and says it's the dumbest thing ever. Again, that guy had an aneurysm and kicked the bucket some time ago, and good riddance. I don't understand why people come out of the woodwork and attack this work, especially after we land predictions, which we do all the time. But anyway, learn this, and you'll understand just how bullshit the USGS is. It's crazy how many live streams are going right now that have tens of thousands of people glued to them, and all those people are doing are nothing, just like showing news clips, going to websites that you could go to yourself. No original thought, just regurgitating what they're told. I guess that's what the zombies are into. But yeah, now coming to it, moving to an 8.8. Everyone's saying the epicenter is just off this peninsula, which I don't know if I can pronounce correctly. I'll give it a shot. Petropavlovsk, Kamchatsky, probably not, right? But look at it, 88. This is where the now 8.8 is. This is where the epicenter is, in the 88 location, 88 days after The Rock's birthday. Not only did we nail earthquakes off him, he was a former Miami Hurricane football player. I said why last year was going to be a horrible hurricane season, sync with The Rock's 52nd birthday. Again, Hurricanes 52. Now, you got to worry about this year, too. Now he's 53. He was part of the Miami Hurricanes. Last year, they synced up Helene and Milton with him. And look up how The Rock was inspired by a kid with Down syndrome named Milton. But if you guys were missing last year, you see how Hurricanes also won 46? Hurricane Helene, the worst of the two, formed 146 days after The Rock's birthday on the anniversary of JFK's weather control speech, September 25th. And notice how Hurricane Helene is also 146, as well as 259, like 25th of September is the day it formed. And then Milton made landfall 161 days after The Rock's birthday. Again, he played for the Miami Hurricanes, and Milton made landfall on the day, leaving 83 days left in the year. And football's 83, and flood's 83, and Tropicana Field got its top torn off that day, and it's 83. And earlier that day, they demolished the Tropicana Hotel in Vegas to make way for the new Oakland Athletics Stadium, and then it'll be the Las Vegas Athletics, but that's the team Jose played for when the 1989 World Series earthquake happened before he went to the Tampa Bay Rays. And there's a lot more to all of it, but anyway, I covered it last year if you want to go back and look. The point I'm making is they just keep syncing up the weather with The Rock, one of the world's biggest stars. And, that San Andreas, of course, it's set in California, which is on tsunami watch. It's 10:10 p.m. out here on the West Coast. They say if there is a tsunami wave hitting the West Coast, it'll start around 11 p.m., so that's about 50 minutes from now. Based on what crashed into Hawaii and Japan, just little tiny waves, it doesn't look like it's going to be destructive. But you got to wonder... like I said, California, they're due for a whopper, and California is 174 years old until September 9th. September 9th, the state will turn 175. So, the coordinates for the epicenter, it's on the 53rd parallel. The Rock's 53 years old right now. The coordinates are the 53rd parallel north, the 158th meridian east. Somebody pointed this out before I even went live, that a rival of Hulk Hogan, who just died, synced with The Rock. If you missed my work on the death of Hulk Hogan, dead at 71. Hollywood Hulk Hogan equals 71, along with several of his other nicknames that he went by. He died 71 days before The Rock's new movie comes out, The Smashing Machine. Could that be like an earthquake machine? You know what I mean? But he also died 83 days after The Rock's birthday. And, of course, the song Murder by Numbers came out in 83, but Murder's 83, so is Earth. The Cabal is doing it through weaponry and technology. Murdering the Earth, that is. So anyway, the Hulk... Oh, and remember, the Hulk died 18 days before his birthday. He lost to The Rock in WrestleMania 18. Now, there's a lot to the Hulk's death if you missed it, but... Anyhow, in light of the little wrestling joke here, one of Hulk's rivals, who he fought in the championship multiple times in his wrestling heyday, was Nikolai Volkov, who was not Russian but played the character of a Soviet or a Russian, someone from the USSR. And look at what day he died in history. He died July 29th. Isn't that interesting? So we're on his death anniversary at age 70, and today's 70 days before Putin's birthday. But you see how his name equals 158, and the coordinates of this are the 158th meridian east? I also forgot to mention today's International Tiger Day, and International Tiger Day comes out of Russia. Of course, Putin has the tiger cubs, but notice International Tiger Day is also 241, which is the 53rd prime number. So, quite interesting that on International Tiger Day, this would happen in Russia. And again, just that man died at 70. 70 days from Putin's birthday is this. Putin's got that 10-7 birthday, like military and earthquake. Nikolai Volkov also equates to 68, like nuclear weapon, like nuclear energy. Of course, the U.S. and Russia are the nuclear superpowers of the world. With regards to this being up to an 8.8, so we're told, of course, weapon and energy equal 88. We all know what they did to Maui on 8/8. On the anniversary of Dora the Explorer ending, Hurricane Dora's winds burned the town down, and the only person whose house survived was Dora, who painted pictures of power lines. Go back and check it out. It's kind of like how Milton made landfall on Florida on the anniversary of Milton the Monster, the cartoon coming out. But yeah, weapon and energy, 88. Trump's on vacation right now. Remember the Trump golf course earthquake on April 5th? Right by Scotty Scheffler, where he grew up, and then Scheffler went on to win the 88th Masters days later when Scotty Scheffler equals 88. That was a freebie. Just like we've hit 6 of the last 7 Masters before the tournament started. Scotty Scheffler, 88. Right after the Trump golf course earthquake, again, next to Scheffler's old stomping grounds. And, it's like this year. Rory completes the career Grand Slam in the 89th Masters at age 35. Grand Slam 89 and 35. Learn your gematria. You'll see through more than earthquakes. Uh, Russia, Alaska. All right, here's the other big point. In 45, we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and then again on Nagasaki. Today is 8 days before the anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima in 45 when they start with a magnitude 8. And again, just go back to what Jesse Ventura said about Navy SEALs doing military, following orders, I suppose, planting bombs along fault lines in the ocean. Jesse Ventura talked about this on his show Conspiracy Theory. But and we're right on the verge of the 8th month, which is the anniversary of the HARP patent date, which is August 11th. That was Hulk Hogan's birthday. We just talked about Hulk's death and how it seemed to signify some kind of weather event, destructive event coming. Can you go back and watch how we got into that? But today, this earthquake is 13 days before the anniversary of the HARP patent, which is going to turn 38 this year. And again, Hulk Hogan has the same August 11th birthday. That's part of why Hulk Hogan's 38. Earthquake is 163, which is the 38th prime number. Did you catch that Hulk Hogan's also 97 and 146, just like Hurricane is? And Hulk Hogan, the 97, also goes with Tsunami, which we have the warning now for. But yeah, the USA, the 13 stripes, 13 days before the patent anniversary. And about HARP turning 38 years old, the patent on August 11th, earthquake is also 163, which is the 38th prime number. So the other 13 is the Trinity test. Today's 13 days after the anniversary of the Trinity test, July 16th, 45. Today's the 29th. So 13 days after that, 13 days before the anniversary of HARP. Big bombs can cause quakes. According to what's been said by others, including Jesse Ventura, HARP has the capability to create earthquakes. With regards to Hawaii being under tsunami warning, today, remember, the fire started on 8/8 there. The anniversary of Hawaii getting the 808 area code. And you might recall that fire was the week of hip hop's 50th birthday, and early hip hop was largely based on the 808 drum machine out of Japan, not far from Hawaii, that suffered Hiroshima and Nagasaki from August 6th through 9th, and the Hawaii fire has happened August 8th and August 9th, right around those dates. Keep in mind, Hawaii is the 50th state, and that was the weekend of hip hop's 50th birthday, and Obama, the president who likes hip hop music. It was just days after his birthday, and it's, Kanye West is his sidekick, and he has the 808 and Heartbreak album. There was a lot to it, but anyway, I noticed it's 700. It's a span of 722 days from what happened August 8th in Maui to this earthquake in Russia that had Hawaii under tsunami alert. The phrase nuclear warfare in Satanic Gematria 722, if that's how they're creating these devastating things. Remember, the U.S. military detonated big bombs below ground and high up in the atmosphere for testing purposes. Could they quake the ground? Could they influence a massive storm in the sky? They did that for nearly 50 years. Bill Clinton stopped it when he came into office in 93, right before Manhattan had a big bomb go off underground beneath the World Trade Centers. And then eventually those buildings were turned to dust, and they called it Ground Zero, terminology that came out of the Manhattan Project. Ground Zero equals 127, like buildings 1, 2, and 7 fell, and they called it the new Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor happened on December 7th, 127. When Maui burned up, it was 127 city with, again, go back and see all my work on all the 127s in the Maui fire. Again, Hawaii, Pearl Harbor, 127. That Dora Milliken, who painted power lines, whose house survived when everyone else was burned down, her name was 127. From The Rock, who plays Maui the Fire God in the Moana series, from him debuting the live-action trailer earlier that year to the fire was 127 days, and a whole bunch of other things. The other thing that's interesting is if you don't count the span of days, it's 721 days later, or 721 days from the day the Maui fires ended if you measured from August 9th. 721 is really special to the Jesuits, who again gave us the language and the calendar and seismology. That's the day in history that their suppression happened. And when I did that video a year or so back about the history of the Jesuits and seismology, we saw how the year that their most well-known seismologist died, there was a lot of 721 stuff going on that year. So I'm looking at this and going, let's see. Again, Arturo Sosa, the leader of the Jesuits. Jesuits having a ton to do with modern-day seismology and these measurements. Again, 107 days from his birthday. It really maddens me that people continue to look at this stuff and just think it's all coincidence. Like, what don't you get? They gave you the calendar and the language. The Catholic Church brought back all this knowledge from the Crusades, including that of Cabala. That's where this whole thing comes from. Cabala. This is a spiritual belief system. People do operate this way. There's a reason they do this. There's a method to the madness. And that's the problem with people, too. If they don't have all the answers in a 5-second soundbite, they're already out. I mean, what kind of... That's what the Cabal's done to humanity. Just turn people into just perpetual retards. And you need to watch Tropic Thunder. Robert Downey, never go full retard. Everyone should watch that movie because that's what almost everyone's done. They've gone full retard. Anyway, earthquake and military. I mean, just look at it. Look how perfect it is. It's almost mind-blowing. Like, how long ago was this stuff planned out? Did these people know that if they put enough energy into it, they would eventually figure out the way to make it happen? Or here's the other thing that's creepy to think about. Imagine there's a level of sorcery where you can make an earthquake happen. Sounds mad, but sometimes I do wonder. The dark half of Cabala is about using this knowledge for sorcery and spell casting. And it does make you wonder. If you don't count the span of days, it's 106 days. Again, it's International Tiger Day, which equals 106, which came out of Russia. Putin's got that 10/7 birthday, and he likes himself some tigers. Nuclear bombs also 106. And is it possible that's what went off? I mean, we're talking about, again, goes off in Russia. U.S. is on alert. We're talking about the nuclear superpower nations. And I forgot to mention, today does have 45-date numerology. Alaska, right next door to where it went off. Of course, we acquired Alaska for military purposes. Alaska has that double connection to 45. So often the earthquakes, when they happen, the significant ones, it's a 44 or 55 ritual. But today I'm going, okay, I can kind of dig the 45 thing because 45 is the year we bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Alaska where HARP is. Chump, Mr. 88 himself, formerly number 45, right when he came into office, he renamed Mount Denali Mount McKinley. McKinley, the 25th president who got shot, which brought about Teddy Roosevelt. J.D. Vance, the youngest VP nominee since Teddy Roosevelt, picked in Milwaukee where Teddy Roosevelt was once shot. That was right after the Trump hoax where the fireman was killed, who was part of the Buffalo Fire Department, like McKinley was shot in Buffalo. Anyway. Yeah, International Tiger Day comes out of Russia. And a number of sources said that the earthquake's epicenter was located approximately 119 kilometers or 74 miles east-southeast of the place that equals 88, as we covered at the top, in case you got here late. Again, we went from an 8 to an 8.7 to an 8.8, where an 8.8 releases more than 15 times more energy than an 8, so it seems impossible to make this kind of mistake in calculation. I mean, you're not even in the ballpark. Imagine somebody told you that they wanted a foot-long sub for lunch. You're like, oh, I'll go get that for you, and you bring back a half inch. Like, I said a foot long. Well, I mean, a half inch, it's only... No. It's not even comparable. Anyway, the 8.8 epicenter is in 88 land. 88 days from the earthquake superhero, The Rock's birthday. So yeah, just, they got to throw in the 74 there, run it both ways, weapon, energy, Remember what they did with the fire in LA at the start of the year, how it was synced up with Maui? Let me pull that up real quick. Hold on. Los Angeles, Maui. Let's see. Shoot. Let me try that a different way. All right, here we go, right here. This is the post I wanted. From the Maui fires to the LA fires, where the media mocked the idea that lasers had something to do with it, was exactly 74 weeks. And lasers, 74, 88, like weapon, like energy, like California, like here we are today with an 8.8, 74 miles from 88 town, the epicenter. Oregon's one of the places on alert. Oregon on the West Coast. Of course, California makes up half the West Coast. And from Trump taking office, Mr. 88 himself, Mr. Mar-a-Lago raid on 88, and 1,000 other things. From him taking office, Trump, remember, he's Jesuit educated, or the Society of Jesus. Today's his 191st day in office, like Society of Jesus. They're saying it hit Russia at 4:24 Pacific time, and Russia also has the 24 connection as well as the 8E7, like it was an 8.7 for a good minute. And they're saying, again, this is the 6th largest earthquake in the time of recorded history, and it wouldn't be had they not jumped it up so high. And they're saying these kind of earthquakes happen about once every decade. This is the biggest in 14 years. But yeah, shame on people like Dutch Sense. Again, he had every opportunity in the world to be like, you know what? He made that prediction, and it was exactly that, a 5.5 on the 12th of December, 2017, a date with 55 numerology. But instead, he made a video talking about how dumb that was. It's like, how's it dumb when it lands? Like, what is your motivation? Yeah, and then today, he's dumbfounded. He couldn't figure out how they could possibly jump it to 8.7. It's like, well, don't you remember 8 years ago, as it happens, you made fun of Gematria, and had you just ran the numbers, like everybody should be doing for everything in the media, because it's how it's all contrived every day, you'd be seeing how it jumped to an 8.7. He was just dumbfounded. He's like, that doesn't make any sense. That's just way, that's a huge difference. These aren't even comparable in 8 and 8.7. So how can that happen? And again, same way it happens every day as they fudge these numbers for all these earthquakes. Do you remember what they did with Burma? Do you remember how bad Burma's earthquake was? Burma, this third world country where people live essentially in mud huts, and people ended up being buried under their, clay buildings. And no, it was all by the numbers. It was sick. Here, let me go back to the Burma earthquake real quick. It was all synced up with their independence from the UK. A 7.7 strikes at the 770th minute of the day, and it was 77 days from their independence anniversary. Myanmar's the newer name for Burma. Yeah, there was a lot of patterns in this, but right here, Myanmar's anniversary of independence from the UK, January 4th, the earthquake 77 days later. And remember Orwell, his first book, Burmese Days. talking about how cruel the British were to the people of Myanmar. You know, my sweet lady, this is where she's from. She got family back there. Her family, luckily, wasn't where the earthquake was, but, you know. Yeah, people's bodies just trapped under rubble still to this day. But yeah, think of how perfect that is. A 7.7 at the 770th minute of the day, 77 days after Independence Day. And from the UK, remember when London had the 7/7 bombings in 2005, a 7-year, 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 5, 7. Worst earthquake, they said, in 200 years. Yeah, a lot of these. Do you remember when the Grammys were going on and the gender bender and you know, the bottom, they were up on the stage with flames dancing for Satan, and then Turkey had the massive earthquake. Turkey, biblical Turkey gets the Church of Philadelphia in biblical Turkey gets the letter about the synagogue of Satan. You guys remember that one? I was watching Sam Smith dance with the flames. That's all I remember. Was this the one during the 6.2 in Turkey, right? It's just, that's what I mean, you guys. We can go down. Trust me, there's 1,000 of these. I've been here for 12 years covering this now. Dutch Since wanted to tell his audience, oh no, don't listen to that. That's dumb. Is it dumb? Because it's going on pretty much every time there's a major earthquake in the world. Pretty much every time it's the same thing. It's some kind of number ritual. That one was 163 days from the Superior General's birthday. Is this the same one that happened during the Grammys, though? Maybe this is a different one. Grammys should have been earlier in the year, right? Yeah, this is the one I was thinking of. The Grammys were going on. Yeah, more than 20,000 people are dead. This was a major earthquake. This is the one I was thinking of. And God knows how many people died in Burma. Who knows? That one came on the Pope's 55th day of his age in a Catholic church. They're Jesuits. Responsible for seismology as we know it. This is the one right here. Okay, this is when it was. It was February 6, 2023. It was on the 37th day of the year, like Turkey is 37. The earthquake 52 days from the Pope's birthday. I see the 6.2 was just days after in the same place. But yeah, Revelation 3:7. This happened on the 37th day of the year. The letter to the Church of Philadelphia about the synagogue of Satan. Notice the synagogue of Satan 223, like Philadelphia, like natural disaster, like the HARP patent dates August 11th, the 223rd day of the year. The name for HARP, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Programs 223. It was 87 days from the Superior General's birthday. Speaking of that 87, the Catholic Church is 87. What, did I not write Turkey up here? I'm scrolling through. You can always go back and look at these posts. The earthquake happened at the 257th minute of the day, the 55th prime, like earthquake, like military, like what Dutch Since made fun of back in 2017. A dead-on prediction. Like quake, like Satan. Yeah, anyway, there's been just a lot of repetitive numbers in the ritualism. So, anyway, I'm exhausted, you guys. I was debating on not doing this tonight because, again, with the little one, I just don't get enough sleep. And it's like, The thing is, if I don't try to sleep like around 9, because Sweet Girl always wakes up around 11, and then sometimes it's hard to get back to bed. So that's why staying up to do this at this time is like, I'm taking away it's like probably the best, most solid hour or two I'll get of sleep is always in this period. So it's like I'm foregoing that to put out another video. But in the United States of amnesia, if you don't cover it when it happens, nobody notices. And actually, because of what YouTube's done to my channel, pretty much nobody notices anyway. They're too busy watching all the people just regurgitating what's on the news. So, hey, shout out to the $2 donor. Appreciate it, generous John. Thanks again, John. All right, you guys. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there for now. Let me scan the chat real quick. If anybody has anything to share about this earthquake, real fast that I need to look into, drop a comment, or you can leave a good comment too, and I will read the comments in the morning. You guys are saying the stream's glitching. Of course it is. Go read the lyrics of Sammy Hagar, "Cracking the World," huh? I see you're spamming that, so you really... All right. That's how we're going to close it out then again. Sammy Hagar, "Cracking the World." This better be worth it. I found out what it is that's been driving me mad. There's no room to breathe between the good and the bad. A crush in between, there's a thin, thin line, but just round the corner, there's a change in design. I wish I could walk away and dig what the preachers say, but those words don't satisfy me no more. There's a crack in the world, and he says it 6 times. Just 50 more years, we're all gonna know why, when, where, how, and who gets to go. So let's all have a good time before the Great Divide, because things will start separating come 2025. Woo, man. And we know that's one of those Earth numbers. I see why you asked me to read that. Man, we got the Air Force document owning the weather by 2025. We had the Amazon movie they put out, Lockdown 2025, which has LA burning up, how the year started. You have They Live, where in They Live, the alien types, they have full control over the world by 2025. You got the Deagle website from 15 or so years ago projecting a horrible drop-off in the Earth's population in 2025. When did Sammy Hagar put out this? God, maybe I'm going to end up being right about something bad coming to California earthquake-wise while the state's 174 years old. New World Order. San Andreas. Again, I said the clue would be if we get the earthquake 174 days after the Rock's birthday, we did. Now you get this synced up with the Rock on the Ring of Fire, which California's part of. When did this song come out? How many years in advance did he put that out? 77, huh? Speaking of damn Myanmar. 48 years ago, this song came out. What in the hell? Well, hey, thanks for the tip on that, because I didn't have a clue about that. That is something else. Sammy Hagar, born in 47, wouldn't you know it? All right, let's measure from his birthday, since this is one of the biggest earthquakes in a long time, and he's got this lyric, "Crack in the World," talking about 2025. How did it go again? What did he say? Because things will start separating come 2025. You know what else I thought about? I thought about the band Tool, because Anima has the artwork on the album of California falling into the ocean. The part of his little mantra in that song is "learn to swim," as in regards to you better not swim when California falls into the ocean. But hold up, Sammy Hagar, born October 13th. It's the day leaving 79 days left in the year. There's a big number with Hulk's death. Society of Jesus is 79. Speaking of them having so much to do with seismology. Hold up. He's going to turn 78 later this year. Everyone else in the world, other than the USGS, had this earthquake as a 7.8. The USGS is the boss, though. 289 days. That's a square root of 17. That's a maybe 17 doesn't have a. It's got a big Mason connection, but so it would be 76 days to his upcoming birthday, or a span of 77. I don't know what to say about that, but that is really interesting that his song points out 2025 of all years. Sammy Hagar's got that 106. It was 106 days for the Superior General's birthday, or a span of 107. The famous Jesuit seismologist. Oh, yeah. By the way, just regards to the Ring of Fire, you got Seattle up there. Remember, earlier this month, you had 300 earthquakes at Mount Rainier, which is one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the world. And as I was pointing out, they stopped on the 10th of July. It can be written 10/7, like 107, like military's 107, like earthquakes 107. But in addition to that, scrolling down, volcano in Seattle are 107, and so is Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier has 300 earthquakes in 3 days, ending on 10/7. Again, that was just before this, too. That was seen as somewhat bizarre. And remember, Vulcan remember this from 2023 in November, when 19 volcanoes went off at once? And Vulcan's the volcano god. Vulcan's 19, like Seattle's 19, the city next to Rainier, on the Ring of Fire. Hold on though. I meant to pull back up the Jesuits in seismology. This guy, James B. McElwain, he died in 56, like Society of Jesus 56 at age 72, like Jesuit Order 72. That's how old Putin is right now at the moment. I just see Sammy Hagar also has that connection. When did this song come out? Can we get a more specific date than 1977? It's on Musical Chairs, which came out October 10th, 77. That's Gavin Newsom's birthday. Revelation in Jewish gematria is 1010. Like in Revelation 6:12, there's the terrible earthquake. Crack in the world is track 10. Go figure. Earthquake equals 55. 55 is the 10th triangular number and the 10th Fibonacci number. All right. Well, you blew my mind with that. You blew. What in the hell? Are you seeing the gematria of crack in the world? 88, right? Like they're saying this at 8.8. How about the 241? International Tiger Day 241? International. I can't. I'm missing a letter. International Tiger Day 241. The 74 and 88 is just like, again, energy, weapon, nuclear. They all got the 74, and then you have the 88 connection. Yeah, that's interesting. Again, 241 is the 53rd prime. The 8.8's on the 53rd parallel, synced with the Rock's 53rd birthday, coming 88 days later. What? It says he has a song on there called I Can't Drive 55. I Can't Drive 55. Or hold on, maybe that song came out later. That's the national highway limit too. Samuel Roy Hagar, 79, born on the day, leaving 79 days left in the year. How about it? How come everything is 164 with him? 164, Sammy Hagar 164, Cracking the World 164. What am I missing here? Nah, that's getting too weird. I gotta remember to cover that in the morning. I'm gonna add that to the. I'll add that to the post in the morning. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Well, what a planned out reality we're living, man. It's something else. It is something else. Rock and roll songs from the 70s. Most of us probably right now weren't even alive when that song came out. I was born 6 years later. They're planning to rock us off this earth on a rock song in the 70s. Unbelievable. All right. All right. I do appreciate that heads up, though, on Sammy Hagar. Unbelievable. Cracking the World is also a movie. D26 all the way from India. Thank you, Dolly Rudy. Why do you think Oprah is not opening the route? What? What route? Oprah asked Trump in 88 if you want to be president someday. Oprah not opening the route. I don't know what we're talking about here. Let me see. Massive traffic in Maui with thousands trying to escape the massive tsunami coming. Open the road, Oprah, another road. Oprah Winfrey. Oh, wow, Oprah. Reportedly refused to open her private road. Potentially life-saving route for many coastal residents attempting to listen. Hopefully nothing's about to happen in Hawaii, but do you remember this? Do you remember this from years ago? The Good Club, Oprah, Bill Gates. I forget who else was in it. The Good Club. They discussed reducing population to save the earth. The Good Club. Bill Gates, David Rockefeller Sr., Oprah Winfrey. Oh, look at what day the article was published, you guys, on Cannonball Day, that very special day of the Jesuits. Remember this year they reached their new what do they call it? Pandemic alliance or whatever to get everybody mass shots on the anniversary of the founder of the Jesuits being shot. Wow, I didn't realize all those years ago that was on Cannonball Day. I when I first started this research, and this happened before I even knew what gematria is. This is 4 years and a few months before I learned about gematria. But I remember when this happened, I was like, getting together to talk about saving the earth and even exploring depopulation. So when you ask me why Oprah is not opening the potentially life-saving route, I'm going, well, I guess that might have been discussed at the Good Club. Got to wash them all away, Oprah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And again, Oprah did ask Trump in 88 if you're going to be president someday in light of this 8-8 thing. All right. It's getting too late over here. I need to go to bed. All right, guys. Yeah. If you do have any other great observations, if I missed you in the live chat, I see Big Al in chat. He says that Sammy Hagar song is one of his most famous songs, huh? Or is it I Can't Drive 55? Is that the one? But yeah, if you guys have any other great observations, leave a comment after the stream's over. And again, always copy your comment before you paste it in case Google does that instant delete. They love to censor the good comments. But like I said, if you copy it and you paste it back right away, it usually sticks the second time. Because if you don't copy it and you paste it and it disappears, it's annoying. It's like, do you want to spend however many minutes to rewrite the whole thing? I think a lot of people get deterred and they don't try. But if you do a control copy, control paste, it's boom, boom. Have I ever heard of Project Hail Mary? D26. Let me know about it later. I gotta go to sleep. My batteries are on 0 here. So Dustin Hoffman turned 88 on 88 and was in Rain Man in 88. Raymond Babbitt equals 88. Yeah, better look out, Dustin Hoffman. Better look out. Yeah, I did, Dolly. I think it was yesterday's stream. At the end of it, I played the clip of Kyrie, and I talked about him doing that, making those remarks at age 33, 127 days after his birthday. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll leave it there for now. Have a good night, good day, depending on what part of the world you're in, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. Hopefully, it's not a. Hopefully, it's not the Sammy Hagar song. I'm telling my mom and sweet lady they both need to learn how to swim. They just don't want to learn. Till next time, True Seeker.